Assalamu alaikum class. Welcome to online computer programming lecture number 12. The topic of today's lecture is multiple parameters, and along with we have 2 to 3 more topics in this presentation like function overloading, and we will discuss how to call the function by reference. So, and what about the return value? So these 2 to 3 topics we will discuss. Last lecture was about parameters and default parameters and its practical implementation. So I assume that you have seen all those videos along with this video, because this is the function's last video, and after that we will move to the object oriented concept in the C++. So till that we have just a basic concepts of all the C++ programming, and further we will see about the object oriented concept, which is very important and very core of this language. So let's see the multi parameters. Excuse me. So inside the function you can add as many parameters as you want. So it is related to parameters. So function have a parameter like we have discussed in the previous lecture, but now here we are talking about the multiple parameters. For multiple means we have the more than one parameters but of different data types, like one could be of integer data type, then other could be of string data type. So that is the way we will introduce the multiple parameters, but those parameters will be in different data type, as well as we can say more than one thing. Clear? So inside the function, so whenever we are talking about function, it is user defined function, make sure. So you can add as many parameters as you want. Note that when you are working with multiple parameters, the function call must have the same number of arguments. As I told you, the user will give two parameters that will be become argument. So the number of arguments will be same as parameters, as there are parameters and the arguments must be passed in the same order. Now what does it mean? You can see in this program, like we have these three common lines. After that we are going to create our user defined function. Void is data type, my function is function name. Here we have a string fname. Fname is a parameter which takes the string data, and comma, as we have learned that we can separate our parameters with the help of comma, and we have another parameter like age, and its data type is integer. Clear? So what we want fname, the parameter the user give the argument. Ali is common, and age. So int main, we have a main function. We our call our here now we are calling our user defined function. So do not need any data type here. So my function Asim, this is Asim, our argument that takes the string data type, and string always comes into the double quotation, comma integer. Here integer is 3, same as my function Jafar, comma 14, my function Basit, comma 30, and here is return 0. So I will show you how it works in the C++ compiler. So here we are going to execute that program. We have a developer C++. Here I already write this program instead of write it, so that we will save the time. So we have these two libraries, as I discussed you, string library for string data type using namespace std. Here we have our user defined function, and here we are calling the function. Clear? So we are now going to save this function. Its name is multiple parameters. So here if name will be Asim, then Ali, So here when we call this function, then it will take this Asim here in the name of if name, first name, and then it will write the Ali, and then its age will be 3 here. So the point to be understood here is that the function takes two types of parameters. One is string data type and one is integer data type. So we have to give first integer. Order must be same because the first parameter wants a string data type. Here we have a string and the second parameter integer, and here we have a integer data type. So point is here is to see the difference that the parameters could be multiple and but different data types, and order the which the parameter required, the order will be the same. So we are going to execute this program. Let's see what it gives. So here you can see that first calling function Asim, here is Asim and here is Ali. So you can now see this. Asim Ali is 13 years old. So this is, we call the function 3 times and it returns accordingly our string first and the integer data. So this was the concept of multiple parameters. Clear? Now we are moving towards the our next topic, which is about the C++ return keyword. So return values is important in user defined functions. The first is the void keyword. Void means nothing, null. Indicates that the function should not return a value. It will not return a value. But if you want the function to return a value, you can use a data type such as integer, comma string, comma etc. कोई भी हो सकता है, instead of void. Clear? And use the return keyword inside the function. How? You will see in this programming code. Like we have a hash include IO string using namespace std. Here we have a data type integer. My function, this is user defined function, and it requires a parameter x which is of data type integer. So initial bracket. So what the function want in return, that is return 5 plus x. Then whatever the argument will this take, it will comes here and will return the updated value. So cout my function 3. So here the output of this function will be 8. So if you want that function wants to give you something, you have to write the return keyword and must declare the its data type. Such as integer string instead of void. So that this is our, if you write here void like in previous programs, then it will return nothing. So if you write here any data type and you want that, like in here we have a integer main function and it returns 0. So the cout you will see when it return 0 will be written here. So we are moving towards the compiled C++ and see how this program works. So here I overwrite the function here like multiple parameters. So I save it with the same name. So here the concept of return value is, if you want that function will give you something in return, so we have to declare the return keyword along with the data type. So the concept of return is here, that lies here, that you will show these two things, return and integer data type. Like a main function will execute your this function if it is return 0 is here. If it will not right here, it will not execute. So like function is a box which takes input and give you some output. Clear? So we are now execute this program. So what will be the output? 8 will be answer. Here you will see 8 is the answer. So you can see many examples regarding this, and you will familiar with this more. Okay, so we are now talking about the pass by reference, like parameter. Okay, so the parameter we use is in the form of variables. So now it is form of reference, and this can be a little tricky topic, but you must concentrate and try to understand it. So in the previous work we come across with normal variables when we passed parameters to a function. Like we give a string data type and the integer data type, and it will take that data directly. But here we give reference. So you can also pass a reference. So it is another type to the function. This can be useful when you need to change the value of the arguments. So of course, if there is something, then we must know the application. So the application is where we need the where we want to change the value of arguments. Make sure arguments means the user gives the value. So the call by reference method of passing arguments to a function copies the reference of an argument into the formal parameter. Inside the function, the reference is used to access the actual argument. Means we are not giving something actual, but we give the reference used in the call. This means that changes This means that changes made to the parameters affect the passed argument. So with the help of program, I will tell you how it works. Okay, so here we are looking at the swap program. Swap means whatever user give, it will interchange the values, like 1 2 into 2 1. So here we try to understand this program. Hash include iostream using namespace std. This is our user defined function void swap num integer epsilon. Its symbol is Mditson, like this. Forget right now, but you will see what it is. So here x and integer Mditson y. Clear? Sorry, I am not remembering right now. So our this function required the two parameters. So whatever the user give the arguments like actual value, here it will get the actual value but in the form of different form. So whatever we have to give the values to the arguments in the form of arguments, it will take different values. So here are three parameters like z will be equal to x and x is equal to y is equal to z. These three types of equivalence variables will interchange the value of x and y. So let's see, we have a main function, integer first num is equal to 10, integer second num is equal to 20. So here we have a cout before swaps backslash n and first number, second number. So we are now call function here swap number. We give the two arguments. What arguments? First number comma second number. So here you can see the parameters are different, like integer x, integer y, and here we have a first number and second number. So what basically this function takes, this takes 10 and 20 here. So that 10 and 20 also have in these memory blocks. So like we have a one place where we have a 10, but we have two names of that place where 10 is reside. Understand? So in this way we are not going to directly give 10 and 20, but we give the not actual value, but we are give the reference of the actual value, that you can take these two numbers from the references. So here it comes 10 and here it comes 20. So then x will be 10 and here y will be 20 and y will be then 10. Then these two values can be interchanged in the main function. So we will see how it works in the programming point of view, implementation phase. Okay, so we are moving now towards the implementation phase where you can understand easily. So before run this program, I want to repeat this program once again, because I must assume that you must know one thing. Like, I will repeat this program how it works. So we have here a user defined function. What user wants two parameters, okay, but that parameters the user give in the form of reference, not the exact addresses, because this means that we need address where we have our value. Clear? So here we are not going to give the exact what our function wants, but we are going to give the reference here. This will give the error because we are given here the arguments in different form, not in the same form. Clear? So these two numbers, in simple language, that we have a place where we have these two numbers, and that place got two names, like first name and another this name. So that is we are used this concept. So after all, these three equivalent signs will interchange the values. Clear? So on the run, before like compiling, we have before save 1020 and after save we have 2010. So we just pass these two parameters 10 and 20, it will interchange its values and we have swapped that value. So you can put any number and swap the numbers with the help of reference. So till that, if you are not get familiar about these concepts, so just recall or remember one thing, that we give parameters to the function in the form of arguments with the help of reference. Clear? Further I will clear your ambiguity if you are not clear till now. So we are coming to the next topic, which is about the function overloading. With function overloading, multiple functions can have the same name with different parameters. Example, here we have an integer data type, my function integer x, float my function float x, double my function double x comma double y. So we have the function name is same, but we have different parameters. Like this parameter take the integer value, this parameter take the float value, and this parameter will take the double two values. Clear? So, well, what is the need of function overloading? So the need is written here. Instead of defining two functions that should do the same thing, it is better to overload one. So you will see how it works here. Hash include iostream using namespace std. Integer plus function is the function name. We have two arguments here, sorry, parameters, integer x comma integer y, and what is written x plus y. And we have another function which also takes these two parameters but in different data types. So we have a double plus function here. It will take the double value, double like in the form of point numbers which have point, but the range is more than float. Clear? So we have a main function. It is defining a variable which stores the value of this function. Clear? So this function what takes two parameters, and return is here the sum of these two parameters. So we are given the arguments, like we are calling that function, and we store the value of this function into the my num1. This is the variable which stores the value of this function, and similarly my num2 will store the value of this function. So look here, that plus function is this function, and we are giving the arguments here 8 comma 5. So here 8 and here 5, then what it will give return 8 plus 5 13. So 13 will be here my num1. So see out integer my num means integer 13, and double will be the sum of 4.3 and 6.26. So we also learned the concept of overloading, which we have the same function name but different parameters. Clear? So its application and its usage is so many, you can further search on this. So we are going to run this program and see the output of this program. So here I already written here. So we are now going to execute this program and see the output of this program. So 8 plus 5 will be 13, and 4.3 and 6.26 will be 10.56. So instead of writing function again and again, we can overload functions. Clear? So these were the topics. So we have one more topic about parameter. No, this is not relevant, and here is the same example we discussed before. So this is the end of lecture, and next lecture will be on the object oriented programming. So in the end, I will suggest you to go through these concepts and techniques, and if you have any confusion, we will discuss on Saturday session. So clear these topics so that we will move further. Okay, thank you, Allah Hafiz.